this video, let us see what is the one of the new important features that have been added into PHP 7 called as scalar type declarations.
This example shows you how to use the scalar type declarations in a PHP 7 function. Scalar type declaration is a new feature that is added to PHP in its PHP 7 version. So using this feature, you can actually declare the data type of the formal arguments to a particular function. For example, here I have declared a function called as average, which is designed to calculate the average of two arguments that are sent to it by the calling environment. So the first argument will become x, second value will become y, and it will calculate the average and return. But I want to ensure that these two arguments are integer. So therefore, to prefix the two arguments, I have used integer int $x and int $y. So that will ensure that the two variables or two arguments that this x and y receive, they will be integer. So also I also have specified what is the return type of the return value of the function. So that is defined by this int, which is given after the name of the function. Give a colon and specify the return type, and then the body of the function will be written. Okay, so these are the scalar type declarations of the arguments, and this is the scalar type declaration of the return value. So the execution is simple. Just call the average function, giving the two values. They will be picked up by x and y, and then the value will be returned, the average will be returned. So this is fairly straightforward, as it was in case of the PHP 5. So let me just execute this function and verify it. Okay. So I'm just starting the program by giving the URL in the browser, scalar type.php, average is equal to 15. So this is as per expectation. What we shall see is how the PHP program will behave if the data types are not integer. So for example, out of these 10, 20, 120 if I make as a string, then what happens? So here what I have done, I have given the two arguments to this average function, as one is 10 integer, the other is 20, it is not 20. So when this function is executed, how does the scalar type declaration have an effect on the actual execution? Now this scalar type declaration is implemented in two ways. One is called as the coercive mode and the other is called as the strict mode. So the coercion means what? This 20 will be automatically converted into a corresponding integer value by the PHP engine. So therefore, even if the string, this is a string, inverted comma means it is a string, but because it contains a digit characters, 20 will be converted into 20. They will be given to the y variable, and the result will be the return value, which is equal to 15, as was the case earlier. So even if I make it as within inverted commas 20, I am going to get the same result. Let us see. So even after changing the second argument to string, the same result is displayed. So that is called as a coercive mode of scalar type declaration. In order to enforce the strict adherence to the data types of the arguments in the function and the values that are sent to it, you have to start your PHP script by this statement: declare strict types is equal to 1. So which means that now the PHP interpreter or PHP engine will see to it that the data types of the formal arguments and the data types of the formal arguments are same. If they are not same, then it will raise an exception. Okay, so now that the scalar type is equal to 1 has been declared, and then if I try to send 10 and within inverted commas 20, then the automatic conversion of 20 to y, string 20 to integer y, will not take place, and therefore you expect, when you execute this program, you expect a certain error or exception to generate on your browser. So let us see. So I am executing the same script. Now you see there is a fatal error, uncaught type error. Argument to pass to the average function must be of the type integer, but you have given string. So it is now enforcing a strict type similarity because of the declare script strict types is equal to 1 statement at the beginning. Okay, so if I again go back to the code and change that inverted comma 202 back to 20, now the program will behave properly. Change it to normal 20 instead of the string 20 and re-execute the script. You should get average is equal to 15. Now this scalar type enforcement, either in the coercive way or in the strict mode, can also be applied to the return value also. So if I now change this formula of calculation of value to something like this. So what happens? The division of this x plus y divided by a certain float value will be a float. That means this value variable will contain a certain float, but you are mentioning that the return value of this function is an integer. And now that the declaration of strict types is enabled, declare strict types is equal to 1, this will not be allowed. Why? Because the function returns a value which is not integer. So therefore when you try to execute this, it will again give a fatal error saying that the integer value or the return value of the function is not integer. Okay, so let us now again run the program. So with the changes in the return value type, if I try to run, again it is giving an uncaught type error. Return value of the integer average function must be integer. It is returning a float, and that is not allowed. So that is how the scalar type declaration can be coercively enforced or strictly enforced.
In this video, we shall see another new feature of PHP 7 called as null coalescing operator.
So another new feature of this PHP 7 is this coalescing operator, that we will now put it into practical use. What this operator does is it verifies whether a particular variable is set or not. If it is set, actually this double question mark is called as a coalescing operator or coalesce operator. There are two operands, one on the either side of this double question mark. The first operand is the one which you want, or the one which you want to verify whether it is being set or not. And if it is not set, or if it is set, then this expression will be returned, otherwise this expression will be returned. If it is set, then the set variable will be returned to user, otherwise this string will be returned to the variable called user. Actually this is a sort of a replacement for the ternary operator that you usually see in most of the programming languages, where a certain expression which will return either true or false. After this expression, this question mark is used, and after the question mark, two operands are given separated by the column. If this logical expression is true, the first operand is returned, otherwise the second operator is returned. Now this ternary operator specifically, if you want to verify whether a certain variable has been set or not, for that you use this coalescing operator. So this is the variable that you want to see whether it is set before calling this script. If set, then that set variable itself will be the value of the variable called user. If not, then this string will be the value of the user. Okay, so if I call this script coalesce.php directly in the browser, there is no question of this script being called by a certain client side HTML script which may be containing a form, etc. So there is no question of this user variable being set. If it is not set, then it will display the not passed well as the value of user, and it will be displaying username not passed. So also the output of the ternary operator. But if I create a form and in which a form element named as user is there, and then there is a action parameter or action attribute of that form set to this coalesce.php, then obviously what will happen? This user form element will be set. So $get user will be having a certain value which will be provided by the form. So therefore this will be true. So therefore user will be equal to the name of the user that you may have entered in the form. So you will get the output as username is equal to XYZ, say for example. Okay, so this behavior of coalescing operator now we shall see by running this example. I will open the browser. First I will call this script directly, and then I will call this script through a certain HTML form. Okay. So here this PHP script is opened, and as soon as I execute, username not passed. This is the output of the coalescing operator, and this is the equivalent output of the ternary operator. Okay, now what I will do, I will open a form like this. Okay, and this text box is named as user. So if I type something here, press submit button, this coalesce.php script will be executed. It will have within the get server side variable or server side associative array, so to say, it will have a the value for the get user, and therefore it will retrieve or obtain that XYZ as the value of the user variable in that script, and it will print that. That's it. This is the output of the coalescing operator. This is the output of the ternary operator. So this confirms the behavior of the coalescing operator in PHP.
In this video, we will come to know about the spaceship operator, one of the new features of PHP 7.
So let me explain the use of spaceship operator. This one is the new operator that is introduced in PHP 7. You can think of this spaceship operator as a two-way comparison operator, and the symbol of this operator is less than, greater than, and less than, equal to, and greater than. So normally the comparison operators are returning either true or false, but this operator, the spaceship operator, returns three values. If the two operands on the either side of this operator are equal, then it returns 0. If the first operand is greater than the other, then it returns 1. On the other hand, if the first operand is less than the other, the second one, it returns -1. So the three possible return values are 1, 0, -1. 1 if the first operand is greater, 0 both are equal, and -1 if the second operand is greater. So here I am demonstrating a few examples of the usage of this operator. So first expression compares 5 with 10 by 2. First operand is 5, second operator is 10 by operand is 10 by 2. So incidentally, these two operands are going to be the same, so this should return 0. So what should be the output of the first line? 5 spaceship 10 by 2 equal to 0. Second expression is 5 spaceship 10 upon 2.1. So this is going to be something like for sure this will be less than 5. So this will be greater, this will be less. So you expect this to return 1. Okay, because 10 upon 2.1, that means the division will always be less than 5. Third expression is 3.142 spaceship 22 upon 7. So this is a well-known pi mathematical constant. Its value is 3.142 and a couple of a few more digits after this 3.142. So which means that this is always going to be less than this. The actual value of 22 upon 7 will be more by this by a certain 0.000 something. So you expect this to be greater, so that means you expect -1. Similarly, I am using or performing the spaceship of a substring of hello world with hello. So substring hello world 0 5 will separate hello. So in a way the left operand is going to be hello and the right operand is also hello. So therefore both are equal. So you expect this to be equal to 0. Okay. So using the spaceship operator with numbers, integers, float and strings. These three examples are used in this in this code. So let us run this and verify the result of the spaceship operator in use. So this is the spaceship.php. The result is 5 spaceship 10 by 2 is 0. 5 spaceship 10 by 2.1 is 1, as I told you, because 5 will be greater. 3.142 spaceship 22 upon 7 is -1, and spaceship between hello world and hello is going to be 0 because both are same. Okay, so this is the confirmation of the behavior of this new operator in PHP 7.
In this video, we shall see the principle of polymorphism is executed in PHP.
In this example, I will show you how the interface is used in PHP. Interface is similar to a class, but inside the interface only the functions are mentioned or declared. It doesn't have any body or functionality defined in the interface. The interface needs to be implemented by a certain concrete class, and the implementing class has to override the functions, all the functions that are defined in an interface. That is how the interface works. So in this example, I have declared an interface called as button, and in which I have declared one function which is public function clicked. Now any class which is implementing this button interface has to give a overridden explanation or definition for this clicked function. So here there are two classes. One is my button and other is your button. Both are implementing the interface called as button. So the statement would be class my button implements button. So as soon as this my button class is used to implement the button, the responsibility of the my button class is to give the definition to the method or function inside the interface. So clicked method has been defined. What is the definition or what is the functionality of this clicked function inside my button, it will just print out a message my button clicked. So also there is a your button class which also implements button. So therefore it also has to define the functionality of the clicked function which is in the button interface. So what does it do? It prints out another different message, your button is clicked. Okay. So now in order to use the functionality, create an object of my button class and your button class. B1 is equal to new my button, B2 is equal to new your button. If both the objects are used to call the clicked function, what this will do? The implemented function will be executed. The base interface has a clicked function which will be or which has been implemented by the my button as this function. So b1 dot click, b1 arrow clicked will print my button clicked, and so also b2 arrow clicked will should print the your button clicked message. So that's how the interface works in case of the PHP. Another use of interface in PHP is to give a sort of multiple inheritance scenario, because multiple inheritance, deriving or inheriting a class from more than one classes is not allowed. So the way around is to use the interface and implementing them. You can implement as many number of interfaces as you want, but you can extend only one class. So there the interface has a very important role. As far as this program is concerned, this will print B1 clicked should print my button clicked, B2 clicked should print your button clicked. So let us see the output of this program. So in the browser, I am giving the URL as localhost interface.php. I should see the two echo messages, my button clicked. It is the output of the my button class calling the clicked function, and your button clicked output for the your button class calling the clicked function again. So that's how the interface is implemented by the derived classes. Okay. With the help of this example, we shall learn to use an abstract class in a PHP program. What is an abstract class? It is a class which is only used to inherit a class from it. It can be used only as a parent class. In other words, you cannot declare an object of the class which is declared as abstract. Okay, so you have declared a class shape as an abstract class from which you are having a rectangle class, and also I have a circle class which extends the shape class. And then you can have the objects of the derived classes. You have a R1 is equal to new rectangle, C1 is equal to new circle. So you can have an object of the inherited class, but you cannot have the object of the parent class which is an abstract class. One more thing, the abstract class may have some normal methods and some abstract methods. The abstract method will not have any body, it will have only a declaration. So likewise, abstract protected function area, there is no body, there is no bracket like this, or in which there are no statements. So it is somewhat similar to what the interface does. Okay, but when the abstract class is used as a parent class for extension, then now the abstract method that has been declared in the abstract class must be implemented in the inherited class. So here the rectangle class is extending the abstract shape. So therefore, because this function does not have any body, this rectangle class has to provide the body to the function called as area. So in addition to this overridden implementation of area function, rectangle class is designed to have two member variables L and B. these two values, these two member variables will be initialized by the constructor, and they will be used to calculate the area. On the similar lines, there is a circle class also, which also extends the shape. So therefore, the circle class also has the responsibility to override the abstract function in the abstract class. What it is doing? It is just calculating the pi r square of the radius that is given. Okay, so at the execution end, you have a rectangle class R1 is equal to new rectangle length and breadth. The constructor will initialize the object, call the area function. What happens? The area abstraction or abstracted area is present in the abstract class, but its overridden version is present in the rectangle class. That will be executed. It will calculate the area 10 into 20. That will be the result of area of rectangle. On the similar lines, there is a circle object whose radius is given as 10. The corresponding area function will be called up, and it will calculate the area of circle. Pi r square, r into r is 100 into 3.14, whatever the value will be displayed, that will be the area of the circle. So this is how the abstract class is used as the base or parent class for the subsequent child classes or derived classes. So let us see the output of this program. So the URL for this script is abstraction.php localhost abstraction.php. You should get area of rectangle and area of circle as per the execution of the overridden area function in both of these two classes. So that is how the abstraction principle of abstraction is executed in a PHP script.
In this video, we shall see what is a session in case of a PHP web application.
So in this example, this is a demonstration of how to set session variables and how to retrieve or read the session variables that have been set. So to begin with, there is a PHP script called as session set, in which there is a form and there are two text elements, name and age. The input type is equal to submit. When this button is pressed, the data will be posted back to the PHP self, that is the same script session set.php, by the method is equal to post. So obviously when this session set.php is opened for the first time, the submit variable will not be set. Underscore post submit will have no value. So this condition will not be true. So therefore this will not be executed, and therefore the form will be displayed. But when the submit button is clicked, the $post submit associative array $post will have the value for submit button. This is set, so therefore this will be true. Session will start. Session start function starts the session, and then inside that session you set up a session variable called user, whose value is obtained from the $post and associative array. Value associated with the key name will be set as the value of the session variable user, and then it gives me a hyperlink to go to the check session.php. In the check session.php, the value associated with the user session variable is fetched from the underscore session server variable. That is fetched and that will be displayed. It will print a message, hello, whatever name you may have entered in the form, the name text element in the form. So that is just a confirmation of the session variable that is set. So I'll now open the session set.php first. A form will be displayed. Enter the data. Session variable will be set and read back by the check session.php. Okay. So this session set.php is opened in the browser. It is giving me a form. Just enter some data into this. Press the submit button. the data is posted back to the same script which sets the session variable called as user. Okay, the session variable is set, the name is used as user. So read the session variable back and it will print the message like this. This is how the session variables are set and read back using the PHP script.